The following is a Candlepin Stars and Strikes rebroadcast featuring some of our most memorable programs.
WNDS Sports and Tri-State Megabucks present Candlepin Stars and Strikes.
Oh, look at this. Look at this! He got it! Ready for a spare!
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is sponsored in part by Washington Toyota Dodge Nissan. Looks good.
Looks good! That's good to go! It's a
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is produced in conjunction with the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association. And now your hosts, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to Park Place Lanes here in Windham, New Hampshire. I'm Doug Brown. Once again, Dan Murphy is off this week, and we're ready to bring you another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes, week number 2 of our current 4-week series. If you missed it last week, you missed a terrific performance by Kevin Davis. He'll be going for his second win in a row this week. Our bonus ball contest a little bit later on will be worth $60. And, of course, we move ever closer to our 8th annual Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions. Let's introduce our two bowlers for today's show. First of all, our number 5 seed from Pembroke, New Hampshire, Kevin Davis. And last week, Kevin rolled a 429 to knock off Rich Hallberg, 148, 148, 133 a week ago for Kevin Davis. So today he will go for his second week in a row, Kevin carrying an average of 126. And today he will face our number 3 seed from South Lawrence, Massachusetts, Dan LaPlume. Dan will be making his 6th appearance here in singles competition on Stars and Strikes. Dan likewise with an average of 126 and a roll-off score of 629. Good for the number 3 seed. The winner of this match, of course, will move into our semifinal week next week, and then 2 weeks from today we'll determine our 5th finalist for the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions. As I mentioned, $60 in the bonus ball contest a little bit later on. We'll get this match started. Kevin Davis against Dan LaPlume after this timeout. Don't go away. Once again, last week, in case you missed it, our number 5 seed, Kevin Davis, throwing a terrific 429 to knock off Rich Hallberg and advance to today's match against Dan LaPlume, our number 3 seed. The winner of this one gets Paul Berger in the semifinals next week, and I'm sure many of you are aware of what he's done here over the years. And then in 2 weeks, it'll be the series championship match with our number 1 seed, Tim Lipke, defending that number 1 spot in the roll-off. Kevin Davis ready to go. What a day he had. Kevin just noticed a piece of debris on the lanes that he's going to clear it. And now we're ready to go. Well, see, now it's a good thing he did it. See, I mean, you don't throw a 429 with debris on the lane. And Kevin starts with a strike. Tight ball right in the 1-3 pocket. And now onto the Brooklyn side and the split. Oh, he made it. Wow. This is about where we came in, isn't it? Kevin Davis, what a shot. Spare on strike. And now Dan LaPlume. For the spare, almost for Dan. After misfiring on the first ball. And the 10 box. Good out for Dan. Dan LaPlume from South Lawrence, Massachusetts. Works as a printer at LaPlume Press. crossover ball into the 1-3 pocket there, leaving the 5 and the 8 with some favorable wood moving into position. Well, it is not frozen against the 5-pin, but it's going to stay in a good spot. And a little high on that wood, but Dan takes care of it. Someone in the crowd said throw the ball and push the button. It was a little tougher than that, but Dan gets it for his first mark. Kevin Davis working on a spare. Last week he had 19 marks on his way to that 429. Well, look at here. We've got a 5 fill, the head pin, and the back row. A 1, 7, 8, 9, 10. With wood, though. Missed the head pin. And a $7. Talked about this last week. Of those 19 marks, Kevin had 7 or more on 16 of them. Back in the pocket, a little thin, and he's got a little bit of the back row again. This time the 2, 9, and 10 with no playable wood. Gave it a rip. And Kevin will take an 8, so an opening here for Dan LaPlume. Just 15 pins in the 2 boxes for Kevin Davis, and Dan LaPlume working on that spare. Just a little short of the head pin. 6 on the fill. And missing the head pin again. Still there. $10. Gains 3 pins in count. Back within 6. And has another opening here opposite an 8 box. Back in the pocket. He'll shoot at the 3 and the 5. And he's got it for the spare. May give him the lead when he comes up to fill it. Kevin pulled that one a bit. And sliding by the head pin. Yeah, that'll be a 9 box. Candlepin Stars and Strikes brought to you in part by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. Come to Salem and save. Route 97, Main Street in Salem, New Hampshire. Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. And Kevin Davis collapses the middle but leaves the 7 and the 10. And of the 8 pins he knocked down, 5 of them are on the plate. And he gets it for the spare. Plenty of wood to help out on the 7-10. Want as much wood as possible between those 2 pins. Dan LaPlume on a spare, and he rips down 9, leaving the 7 pin. And he's got it. 2 in a row. That ball didn't quite come back for Dan. Throws that left to right breaking ball, the left-hander, and didn't quite come up to the head pin that time. And an overcorrection. And the 9. Each bowler, 3 marks. Kevin Davis working on a spare here. A little full on the head pin. And the split results. Oh, almost. Took care of the 3, 6, and 10, but couldn't get anything over to touch the 7. And a 10 for Kevin. Well, Kevin's league average is 126. Tour average, I should say, and last week he averaged 143. It's 3 games here. Looks like you'll be somewhat under that here in game 1 today. He'll take a 9, 2 open frames. Chance for Dan LaPlume to add to his lead. The 2 and the 4. For the spare. 4th mark for Dan LaPlume. All spares to this point. And will the 7 go? No. And neither will the 5. It'll be a 7 drop. And that leaves Dan with the 3, 5, and 7. Not quite. $9. 2 to go here in the first. Kevin Davis. Back on the head pin, but not much to show for it. The 5, 6, and 10 with no wood. Oh, did he make it? That close. $10. Gave it a try on the 5, 6, 10, playing the 6 pin off the wall and into the 10, but it didn't have quite enough juice to get over to the 5. 10th box. And Kevin will have at least a little something to shoot at here. The 1 and the 4. Looking for his 4th mark, and he's got it. $114 plus a ball. On the head pin full, but he broke it up pretty well. 7 fill, 121 for Kevin Davis. Dan LaPlume with a double-digit lead. He can keep that lead without a mark here in the last 2. $10 for Dan. Don't forget, next Saturday at noon, we will have Candlepin skins for you from the Londonderry Bowling Center. That's Saturday at noon here on the Winds of New England, and then next Sunday at noon, we're right back here at Park Place Lanes with the winner of this match against Paul Berger in the semifinals. And there's a strike for Dan LaPlume in the 10th. His first strike of the match. Solid. Tripping out the 4-pin. Up a little short on that fill, though. Now he has to bail out. Has the half Worcester, but 1 ball to get out of it. And he does. He'll take a 7 fill and a 133. So a 12-pin lead for Dan LaPlume after 1, a 133 to 121 for Kevin Davis. Game 2, and a look at our address for the bonus ball contest, so you can win yourself some money here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes when we come back. Dan LaPlume to lead off game 2 and leading in the match by 12. We just saw Dan finished 3rd in the roll-off, and the roll-off for this series held at the Meredith Lanes in Meredith, New Hampshire, up in the Lakes region, and thanks to Scott Goss and the rest of his staff up there for handling all the details for us. And a 10 for Dan LaPlume. The last time Dan was here in singles competition was just a few months ago, back in November, when he rolled against Paul Berger. He was the number 3 seed in that series, too. Paul Berger beat him by 8, 393 to 385. Guess what? If Dan wins this match, he'll face Paul Berger again, as Paul awaits the winner of this one. And Dan just missing. Couldn't carry the 3-pin. So a couple of open boxes for Kevin Davis to work on here. And he drives right through the center. Punching out the 1-2-8-9. And now the 3. And even the wood didn't help him on that shot. It's a 6 box. Kevin back in the pocket. Rips down 9, leaving a solid 4-pin. Good recovery after that last box. Waiting for the wood to settle. Doesn't appear that it will block the shot. It doesn't. And Kevin converts the single for his 5th mark of the day. Each bowler with 5 now. Dan misses the head pin, leaves the 4 horsemen right. Too heavy. Nine box for Dan. And an ugly leave this time. Again, missing the head pin. And a 6 for Dan LaPlume. So the bowlers have traded 6 boxes here in this second game. Dan LaPlume in danger of losing his lead. Kevin Davis just catches the head pin, carries 5 on his spare. Well, this is going to be interesting. The 5, 6, 7, 9, and 10 with some wood that may help. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Great shot. The only question was, would something fly over to get the 7? And something did. Terrific shot. But just 4 on the fill. Nine for Kevin, and we will take a break. Kevin has shaved 10 pins off that lead. Dan LaPlume's advantage now down to 2 as we approach the halfway point here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Dan LaPlume with a 2-pin lead. And he seems to have lost the head pin. Pretty good try, but the 8 pin is still there. This will be the 5th open box in a row for Dan LaPlume here to start the second game. A reminder, when you're visiting here at Park Place Lanes, whether it be to bowl yourself or to take in one of our Stars and Strikes tapings here, be sure to stop on in and visit our friends Rodney Cronin and the rest of the gang at Willow Tree North Restaurant, located right inside Park Place Lanes. Terrific food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, open early in the morning till late at night. Great service, great prices. You'll enjoy it. The Willow Tree North Restaurant. And remember, what else needs to be said except it's where the crew eats. A 9 for Dan LaPlume and another open box. And another opportunity for Kevin Davis. He's on the head pin, and he'll have a spare leave on the 5 and the 8. Possible problem with a cap of wood right between the 2 pins, and he missed the 5 anyway. Might have been thinking about that cap. He'll take a 9. Ooh, the 1, 5, and 9 punched out. Good out for the 9 there for Kevin. Dan LaPlume's lead remains at 3. Only 2 marks in this second game. Those were by Kevin Davis earlier, back to back. Again, Dan LaPlume misses the head pin, and that's all he's got left for the spare. And he takes advantage of the break for the spare. Mark number 6 for Dan LaPlume. Each bowler with 6 to this point. On the head pin this time, but it'll be a split nonetheless. The 6 fill, Dan trying to figure exactly how to play this wood now. And can't fly it over to get the 6 pin. Good effort. Dan will take the 10. 79 through 8. Both bowlers kind of struggling a bit here in game 2. There haven't really been that many spare leaves here in game 2, let alone marks. This would classify as one, however, with the wood turning on the 3 and the 4. That wood looks to be in good enough shape to cover the 4. We'll see. Oh, no. Cost him. Instead, it's a 9, the 4th consecutive 9 box for Kevin Davis. And another split. Same one Dan LaPlume had a moment ago. With the wood a little bit farther out this time. And Kevin uses the wood and gets it! Great shot! And what great work there just to think about playing it that way. Decided to take the wood and the 6 pin at the same time and got a little help coming from behind to get the 2. Great spare. Dan LaPlume drops 9. Oh, I think Dan thought he had that, and I did too, to be honest with you. He just missed it. And the 5 pin is still there. Dan not happy about missing that one. try and shake that off and move on. Can't waste time thinking about it. On the head pin, can't carry the extra one though, another split. The 3, 4, and 6 with no wood. And he makes it. Well, how about that for a comeback? He misses a single, was obviously upset with himself, and then comes back for this cut shot. Oh, great shot there. Star on that one. Five is the fill. 103 for Dan, a two-game total of 236. That may or may not be good enough to give him the lead. Kevin Davis has a chance to take it over. He's working on a spare here. And he carries 8. With a chance at another, the 4 and the 8. Just worried about the piece of wood in between the 4 and the 8, and now the piece facing him, but I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. It's the piece between the 4 and the 8 that may cause him the problem. Let's see. Oh, he bounced it and caught a lucky bounce, and Kevin will take it with a big smile. His second mark in a row. That ball hit the cap dead on, and he still made the shot. And even though he was off target, he carries 7 on the fill. That's what he was doing all last week. It seemed that he was carrying an extra pin or 2 on every ball, especially filling spares and strikes. Not that time. That ball tied it up. If Kevin nails this for a 10 box, he'll have the lead. And there it is. 116 for Kevin Davis, a two-game total of 237 and a 1-pin difference. Kevin Davis in the lead with 1 game to go here on Stars and Strikes. Don't go away. Kevin Davis leads by 1 pin as we start game 3. Kevin looking for his second straight win. It would be the first time that he's had back-to-back wins here on Stars and Strikes. In singles competition, as Kevin was reminding me last week, he put together 4 wins in a row to win a mixed doubles series with Carol Downey as his partner some years back. And that reminds me that we will have mixed doubles here on Stars and Strikes starting 3 weeks from today. Our annual 4-week mixed doubles series. We always have a lot of fun with that. Hope you'll be with us for it. Great 10 box for Kevin Davis. And in a 1-pin match, all of those pins may be important. And that's a terrific conversion there. The 1, 4, 7, and 9. Now on lane 31. Here at Park Place Lanes, thin in the pocket, but carries the 9-pin. That's the key, breaking up the split. Now, the question is, what will the wood do here on the 2, 4, and 7? No. Had 2 pieces of wood bracing the 2-pin. And that cost him the shot, and that will be a 9 box. Let's see what happened. That piece of wood in the back just kind of sprayed off to the right, and the ball didn't do what it normally would do, and nothing touched the 7-pin. Dan LaPlume back in the pocket. Tough shot, though. The 3, 5, and 9. That piece of wood on the right is not really close enough to help him, I don't think. Nope. $10. Dan checking the scoreboard. It's still a one-pin match right now. Boy, again in the pocket. A little thin this time, and Dan really hearing it from some of the fans here. The 5, 6, 8, and 10 with no wood. Well, he made a great cut shot a moment ago. That would have been even better. If he gets both of these, the match will be dead even with 8 boxes to go. And yes, there you have it, a 10 box. And it is all even with 8 boxes remaining. Not much of a leave here for Kevin Davis. He does have a piece of wood, though, on the deck. You never know what that might do. And it almost got it for him. Everything but the 6-pin. Nine box. No marks yet here in game 2, but here was a great effort. Just missing the 6-pin on the way by, that wood sliding in the back. Ooh, a little thin on the head pin, trying to play it on the inside, but went a little too far inside. And just 8. So an opportunity here for Dan LaPlume. In a match that is dead even, he has only 17 pins opposite these 2 boxes. Off the head pin again. That was Dan's problem in game 2. He really lost the head pin for a while. Two guys really grinding it out here. The scores are not as high as they were a week ago, but it is very, very close. Still tied, in fact. All even after 23 boxes. In the pocket this time, but look at that, another split. The 2, 4, and 10. Question now is this wood that Dan is now directing. He wants it to go over and get next to the 2-pin. And it does. Probably not in a great position there, but at least it's over where he can move it. And no, almost. The wood was perpendicular, and that ended up costing him the shot, but he gave it a ride over there. $10 for Dan LaPlume. That takes us to a break, and that $10 gives Dan a 2-pin lead in the match with 6 boxes remaining here on Stars and Strikes. We'll be right back. Kevin Davis, trailing by 2. Looking for his 2nd straight win. Brooklyn side. And no. Maybe we should just make this the next mark wins. There have been no marks here in the third game. Well, Kevin will have a shot at this. The 1, 2, and 7. Well, he missed it. Kevin knows he missed it. He almost got it on the way back anyway, but he missed the object pin, leaving 2 more open frames for Dan LaPlume to work on. 2 10 boxes. Kevin missed the head pin. Actually clipped it from behind with the wood. Not a lot of spare leaves lately in this match. And there have been some first balls that looked like they should have been spare leaves. 9 for Dan. It's a pitcher's duel as we come down to the last few boxes. On the head pin and another split. And one of those pins falling may not be a good thing. The wood behind may help Dan. I'm not sure it's angled properly to get over to the 4 pin, but we're about to find out, I think. Nope. So, still no marks here in game number 3. Both bowlers pinning very well, though. 58 and 56 through 6 boxes. So not a lot of pins standing, but just no marks. And the lead in the match won with 4 boxes to go. And Kevin, maybe could have had a strike there if that 4 pin had fallen. Wood on this may be tricky too, and it cost him the shot. I was about to say that back piece of wood, which has been very costly for both bowlers in this match, costing Kevin Davis another shot, and that'll be a 10. Watch the back piece. It just deadens the whole shot, and that piece that would have come off the wall to get the 7 pin just never got any momentum going. Missed the head pin. The 1, 6, and 10. Oh, yeah, great shot. Kevin wound that one up with the body English. He had a feeling he might get it, and what a terrific shot. Especially the way things are going in this match right now. 1 mark may be the difference. Dan LaPlume back on the head pin. Let's see if he can respond. The 7 and the 10 with wood. He's got 3 pieces of wood well up in front of the 7 and 10. Spray and pray. Let's see if it works. It does not. You saw Dan's reaction. He'll take another 10. Great pinning by Dan LaPlume in this game. He's had 5 10s and 2 9s for 68 through 7. But he needs a mark right here to avoid being behind going into the final 2. Right in the pocket and finally carries the extra pin. He's got the strike. Wow. Big marks for both bowlers in the 8th. Looked like it might have been another very tough split for Dan LaPlume right there, the 4 and the 10. But then the 10 goes in a favorable roll for the strike. Final 2 now. basically a dead heat. Kevin Davis fills his spare with 8. And gets another mark. That's 10 marks for Kevin Davis. A far cry from the 19 he had a week ago, but he'll take every one he can get right now. Sure he'd love to put another one up. Crosses over, takes 7 on the fill. Not an easy leave. We've seen this leave a couple of times the last couple of weeks. 3, 5, and 9. Missing the object. So, this is all going to come down to Dan LaPlume's final 2 boxes. A 10 for Kevin Davis, 111, and a 348. That means Dan LaPlume needs 112 to tie, 113 to win. This strike fill is critical. Off the head pin, but got away with it. Does not get the spare. Dan knows he needs 1. He's now left it to the 10th box. And to help himself by getting these 2 pins, or at least 1 if he can. He gets both. Big 10. Now, if he gets a mark here in the 10th, he will need 7 on it to win. He needs a mark and 6 to tie, a mark and 7 to win. And wouldn't you know, as we've seen all day, that ball was a little heavy, but certainly could have been a better leave than this. But instead, it's a split. Does he have it? Oh my, what a shot. Oh, Dan thought he had it. Kevin Davis wins his 2nd in a row. What a finish. Wow. I think Dan really thought he had made that shot, and he really threw a good enough ball to make it. 106 for Dan LaPlume, a 3-game total of 342. Kevin Davis squeaks out another win, and we will be back to talk to both bowlers and have our bonus ball contest in a minute. Back on Stars and Strikes, Dan LaPlume is here with me. A 4th place prize check for $175, and our congratulations. That was a tough day at the office today.
You got that right. Just couldn't get no luck, and I was throwing the second string. I was throwing a very, very tight ball, and then I was leaving splits, and I had opportunities to, hit my shots, and I just wasn't throwing that good of a ball.
And then that last shot appeared that you made it, but just missed because of the wood. Still, though, a great effort, and it was a great match. Even though it wasn't high scoring, it was very competitive, and you guys were working hard out there.
Yeah, you got that right, working hard. I thought I had that shot. I thought I kicked it over and left that pin, and that was a match right there.
All right, Dan, congratulations. Thanks very much. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you very much. All right, now, Kevin Davis for the bonus ball contest, receiving the high five from Dan LaPlume as encouragement. $60 in the jackpot right now. And Kevin has managed to drop 8 this time. And and as Kevin adds, it's a spare leave, and there weren't many of those during that 3rd game. And not a match, Roy Scherer from Haverhill, Mass. Roy Scherer or Scherer from Haverhill, thanks very much for your card. You'll be receiving a consolation gift, and in the few seconds we have left, Kevin, again, tough day for both of you. You were throwing balls that looked to be much better than they turned out, and you just had a little bit more at the end.
Yeah, well, he said it all right there. I don't want to touch it.
Paul Berger next week. We'll see you then.
Okay,
all right.
I'm ready.
Thank you, Kevin. That's 2 in a row, and we will be back here next Sunday to see if Kevin can make it 3 straight against Paul Berger, our number 2 seed. That'll be next Sunday at noon. Don't forget Candlepin Skins Saturday at noon. Until then, for Dan Murphy and the whole crew, I'm Doug Brown. Have a great week, everybody.